0.
It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose. Wow, is that what I look like? That's pretty cool. Friday, December 1st, 2023. We've been doing this podcast for 45 years.
You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, radiozero.us. We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and Poster Children page, on Twitch at PCJCUSA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. Yet another, this is, I think last time we were at a different time. This is 5 p.m. Central every other Friday. We made it that time today. So you can patronize us at patreon.com/radiozero. Thank you for everyone who is patronizing us. We appreciate it. All right.
What did you do today?
What did I do today? I was in a meeting, a very long meeting.
Did anyone have a fight? Was there a fight in your meeting?
No, there was just a lot of wordsmithing.
Oh, okay. Give us some of the words that were smithed. I got a question.
Community, culture.
Oh, okay.
What was the other option? Yeah, lost the word community.
Oh.
Community of success went by the wayside, but culture of success apparently is okay.
Culture of success.
Community of success and belonging.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, so, and this is the Strategic Planning Committee.
I may have said too much. No, I don't think it's a secret committee.
It's neat. I never used to be into that sort of thing, and then when we were working on the mission and values and vision statement of this is where like I had to look up what's the difference between mission, vision, and values, and then when I found out what the difference was, then it was like, oh, okay, one of them is what we do, one of them is what we want to be, like where we want to be. And then the other one is, just like our guiding principles of how we're going to get there, to where we want to be. It's great.
So, and it seems like there's a trend away from inclusivity towards belonging. So replacing the term inclusivity with belonging.
And why is that?
Is good. I'm not sure why. I think it's just a change. I'm sure there is a reason, but there was not a discussion about why there's been a movement away. Do you know the answer to that?
I'm just thinking, so what I remember some of my mentors saying is like inclusivity would be something that you do. You include other people. It's from your perspective, but belonging is how you feel. So you may be like, hey, I'm including you. I'm talking about the gays. And then maybe and the blacks, like, and the like you may be saying I'm inclusive, but then that's not the same thing as belonging. Belonging is when the person actually feels it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I could be on the Strategic Planning Committee, but
was all from that's kind of stuff that's coming from, the diversity and the belonging people. There's experts in that.
What about
not us deciding it?
So everybody knows like that's the thing is it's the parlance of our times, though, right? So.
Yeah, and that was that. Yeah, actually, there was a big debate over scholarship and research. Like one is a subsection of the other, but a lot of people view research and scholarship as equivalent, and then use the word research. And then the question is, but it's not actually research. Is just researching stuff. Scholarship is actually, researching and then building, on the knowledge that you've researched, right?
See,
but
that's
the thing is that even I think even faculty think of research as this kind of catch-all term for all of that. And so then there's scholarship and research. Are they interchangeable?
And then there's creativity
and then creative productivity. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So just all sorts of questions about that. And then the big thing is just making sure that it's coherent to people who are not academics, right? Not internal, right? So it's other people are going to look at this, alumni and citizens of our lovely
world
state.
of our world. Oh,
Yeah,
of our
and,
state. Yeah,
of the
yeah.
planet. Yes.
When I saw the and I can't remember what it's called now. It's like the strategic plan of like Illinois education, and it was so beautiful. You know, it was just like, oh, it was great. You know, I geek out over that stuff. I really love it. So, you have the words. You got the word empathy in there.
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Mm.
But you know that I do have a topic. I wrote down some topics.
Okay, good.
So I mean, maybe we can transition to that. So the Merriam-Webster word of the year is authentic.
Wow. Okay.
It's not the new word. I can't remember who does the new word.
When did the year start for Merriam-Webster? Was
I don't know. 1875.
No. You know, like was it Rosh Hashanah? So? Are we authentic? Like starting in August, or when was the year? Was it like, are we just finding out now in November or December?
Well, and so the question is like, yeah, and I don't actually know. And this is all PRBS, right? PRBS.
Mm-hmm. Which is the name of our next band.
But yeah, the word that you're being authentic. But I think so I'm not even sure if they have
I'm glad it's authentic. What is it?
Official process.
What
to
is the
decide
word?
With it. It's authentic. The word
cool.
is authentic.
What's the word?
Yeah.
I'm glad it's authentic. What is it?
Dude, where's my car? What does it say? Awesome. What does it say? I can't remember.
Who's
I gotta
on
watch
first?
That. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, talking about AI and stuff. And so just that idea of authentic and authenticity. And so, you know, I think but I thought maybe we could that would be something that we would be able to riff on, but maybe not.
No, we can.
Because I think that's what everything's all about. I think that's kind of and that's always been the struggle, right? The indie rock struggle, right, is all about authenticity and selling out and even how that changes. And then, yeah. And so I think authenticity, it was a really important thing. I guess it still is, but then I just think about, you know, like authentic voices, you know, that's where I go. And then it's like, oh, Bob Dylan, but it's like he's totally, you know, a kid from Minnesota. He wasn't Woody Guthrie, you know, and then but there's that authenticity, but it's kind of performative authenticity, or, you know, this voice is authentic because they sing badly as opposed to singing good. And I know I definitely have that bias of what an authentic singing voice is, right? You know.
So here's my question to you then: is authenticity based in like monetary, like if it makes money, then it's suspect, you know?
I think that was
because that was the whole selling out thing.
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily true anymore.
Right. So it sounds like you think it may have changed.
Yeah. Or it's like anything. It's like people have different interpretations of what is authentic. And that changes.
It's changed for you, so you're like a hippie now. You've sold out. It's okay to sell out.
I don't think I changed. And it's the idea of selling out. I do, yeah. But then it's the question of authenticity and what makes it authentic, and is this band real and this band's not, right? You know, it's like, Pearl Jam, you know, was seen as, for some reason, inauthentic, and Nirvana was seen as authentic or something, right?
Yeah, that was very confusing to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, like, why was it that way? Is it...
Because, I don't know, I mean, we could delve into that era, and I think the perception is that, well, because Pearl Jam's first record was on a major label, right? And all those guys, right, had been through, obviously, like, or at least some of them, you know, being in Green River and stuff, you know, had been through the indie rock world, but they made that leap immediately, whereas, Nirvana was I think that's what our generation, our indie rock generation, that was the barometer, is like, were you... Were you on an independent label before you were on a major label, right? You can't just... And that was the thing, that was, you know, that time when the Pumpkins played with us. I always talk about this, and it makes it sound like I'm trying to take responsibility for the Pumpkins' fame, which I am not. The discussion at Zorba's with Chris and me and Billy, I can't remember who else was there. It might have been what's Jimmy, right? And it was about, they were talking about, they were going to sign with Virgin, and it was like, you can't just jump to a major label and have your first record on a major label. You gotta prove your indie rock cred. You gotta be on a indie label, and they took that to heart. That's what Chris and I were saying, right? We were saying
they did exactly what you said. They put out.
Yeah, but this is the thing: this is the genius, and this is the kind of. I talk about this not as like, that advice, made sense, and I'm sure they might have been hearing it from other people. I don't know if they were, but it was like, what they did or their management did is they signed
to Virgin through Caroline.
Signed to Virgin and Caroline Virgin had a piece of Caroline, right? And so the contract was the first record's going to come out on Caroline. And then the next record is going to Virgin, and then Virgin's going to be paying for the promo.
Larry's here,
everything like that, and so that's where it's like, that's the genius. Whereas our perspective was, the indie rock perspective is you gotta have cred. You can't just jump to a major. You're going to look like carpetbaggers, right? And this is before Pearl Jam. This conversation happened before Pearl Jam. So this is like when Sonic Youth had moved to a major, Husker Du had, right? This was, and probably around that same time we're having the conversation, right? Nirvana was it was probably, in fact, it would have been 89 because it was before they had recorded, like Nirvana would have been going through to do the demos. They did the demos, for what became Nevermind in 1990 at Smart, right? And then the Pumpkins, I don't think had recorded at Smart yet. And that's the other thing is, what's his name? Mike Potential was telling everybody, it's like, you got to record with Butch Vig because, it was like, we liked the Killdozer record, and then Mike was always like, listen to this D. Kreutzen record, right? And that's, but anyways, that was what I'm trying to say is like the feeling is that, you got to prove your cred. You got to be like the Replacements. You got to be like Husker Du. You got to be like Sonic Youth. You can't just, if you just are this major label band that looks like, Soundgarden, right? It's not, you're going to lose, no one's going to trust you, right? You got to build up that cred. But the evil genius, I guess, of what they did with that information, or their management did with that information, was like, no, we'll sign a major label contract, but the first record will come out on a quote indie. So that's sort of supported by the major, and then it's part of the major label deal. So it's genius.
So Larry says hello, Rick and Rose, and then says the documentary 1991, the year punk broke, got into some of that, and Joe Christman says hello.
Yeah. So anyways, authentic, So all those questions, but then it's just like, but and that was always the problem I had though, is like, all the bands. It's like, okay, Mudhoney's authentic because they were on Sub Pop before they were on. Were they on DJ? No, what did they wind up on? Atlantic?
Maybe. Yeah, I can't.
But remember. It's like, but the Stooges, right? Who you could say were, a direct, influence. You could just kind of say, Mudhoney equals the Stooges. Stooges were on a major, right?
The Sex Pistols started on Warner Brothers, right?
Right. And so, but that was the pre-indie era, right? And it was also a different era. But anyways, that authenticity argument, it was always that situation, right? And I think it always comes up in music, and then what people consider authentic, and then it's like, like even just listening to, like thinking, I just think about Bruce Springsteen's voice, and it's like, and like for some reason a while ago, I was listening to some Bruce Springsteen stuff, and I'm trying to remember why I was listening, because I never really listened to Bruce Springsteen a lot, but even that, right? So the one Bruce Springsteen record I bought and I like, can the authentic people even guess? Like, it'll be automatic. They'll be like, meh. They'll say that when I start saying the only Bruce Springsteen record I own. And then they will all go, and no, it's not Born to Run. It's Nebraska, right? Because that's the record he did on 4-track, right? Cassette 4-track, supposedly, right? And so that's, even that, it's like, that's the authenticity. It's like he's got that era of authenticity. But what I was thinking about Springsteen was, it's like, that's the beginning of like mining the past and that kind of mythology of what's real, sort of rock and roll and everything like that. And so like, the kind of like critic rock, right? Where it's like what's the good 60s music, right? And 50s, and how he was referencing, girl groups and, Roy Orbison, and then also rock and roll. And then, it's just, I just spin off into this authentic thing and thinking about people who are authentic. And then it's like, oh, it's
The Boss. We're talking about The Boss here on Radio Zero with Rick and Rose, Bruce Springsteen, and we're gonna spin a little Bruce Springsteen here for you. Here's Born to Run.
But that's the other thing is like how like listening to Born to Run now. Like I listened to it. I hadn't listened to it. I don't know how long it's been since I've listened to that song, but it's like, holy cow! What a put on voice that is. Like the weirdness, the mumbliness of it's so extreme.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, wow.
Maybe he was drunk.
Why did I not key into that 40
Because
years ago
people,
when I was listening to it on AM radio or whatever? And it's like, why did I not
because
like
people
hear...
listen to that, or people
Yeah.
sing like that all the time. That was like a thing.
Because he doesn't sing like it's like so before that and then after that, he reins it in a bit. But man, Born to Run is pretty out there vocally speaking.
That is weird.
It's weird. It's
So-
like why did this get through? Why did this get through?
Andy Lester says Nebraska is the one that is okay for the hip to like.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
Larry is saying here.
That's the authentic record, right?
Larry is saying, when Nirvana came around, people who used to make fun of me for liking punk alternatives suddenly turned into that overnight. When Nirvana came
exactly.
around. Yeah.
So you were authentic. They weren't. They were posers. But let's we could talk
Bruce
about music.
Springsteen, Larry is saying Bruce Springsteen sounds like Marlon Brando from The Godfather when he sings.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, that's right. Actually, I feel like I felt that way too. It's like, oh wow, this is total Marlon Brando. It's like the mumbly and like not just like on the waterfront and It's weird though. It
That was like remember the one time I think I was having trouble singing backups or something like that, and somebody, I don't know if it was Brian Anderson or somebody, played like the naked Bono.
That was for me. I don't think
for
it was
you.
For, yeah.
Okay, all right. Naked Bono song, like singing, and he was like, ugh. Like like if you listen to
didn't help me. I don't know if it helped you. It was just like, okay, great.
I remember crying under a card table, singing, trying to sing, like holding on to somebody's keys because I was so upset. Like we should have been drunk and high, which is maybe. Well, anyway. So authenticity. So go on.
What about beyond music though? Right, everything. Right, so like political candidates. And all that, that idea of...
So Trump, is he authentic?
To be authentic is you can't be a politician, but then it's like, oh, that authenticity is fake. And what if somebody is actually, it's just...
Oh, somebody was talking about...
There was the thing about trying to understand the right wing and conservatives and that idea that...
that was brilliant.
It's totally cynical, right? It's a cynical put on, right, of authenticity or belief, or just how when you polarize, you basically portray the other side as being
stupid,
sort of and just fake, right? Inauthentic, right?
Yeah.
Their beliefs are some sort of posing, right? Anytime, like when if like a conservative hears Biden say, we need to help people in the fossil fuel industry get new jobs and everything like that, and it's like, oh, he's just saying that because he's trying to get us, he's bullshitting.
Oh,
He doesn't believe that, it's like he's just pandering, right? You're pandering to the elite, or you're pandering to the other side
Yeah.
you know, and all those kind of things. Yeah, inauthenticity.
So you had us listening to an Adam Ruins Everything, but it's not called Adam Ruins. It was Adam Conover like a podcast, but it was with somebody who had written
the
a
guy,
book.
yeah, he'd written. I can't remember what it's called.
Nixon.
No, he had. I don't think he's
guy.
the Nixon Land
Okay,
guy. They
right.
were talking about Nixon Land. I don't think he was maybe he was the Nixon.
Something that
he's
really
written. He wrote another book in the past about conservative, sort of the conservative mindset, but he has a newer one. But anyways, yeah. But authenticity. I don't know. I can't think of any, like, even just. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Well, so the problem, I think the issue with authenticity now is about, with AI, right? And what's real art, right?
Well, I wanted to do one more shout out before we get into AI. The Adam Conover episode, it was called Factually, and it was What Liberals Get Wrong About the Right with Corey Robin.
Yeah.
And it was really, really interesting. It really grabbed me because the guy was saying that, like liberals, tend to portray the right, or their enemies as like stupid and I'm trying to remember, what, just stupid, and you need to get to know them better. You shouldn't just put them off.
Know your enemy or
know your enemy. But then he was saying that, and they're not always like. Yeah, what it was, they haven't always been the party of whatever, of whatever they are now. I can't even remember now. It was so long, and I've had such a long day. But what he was saying was what they generally have in common is that the right wing believes there are people who believe that some people are better than others. That's all. They believe that some people are better than others. They believe, and the people who are better than others are the people who should be voting and who should be running the country. And
tracing it back to royalists, right?
Yeah.
And then people now who believe that like someone like Elon Musk, a business sort of CEO, a Trump-like person is better, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so that and if you think about that, if you map that mindset onto every Republican, it works for me. I only know a couple of Republicans, but it's like, yeah, some people are just better than others, and and so those are the people that need to take care of everybody else, and those other people should be digging ditches. The world needs ditch diggers too.
Right.
It was really kind of mind blowing. I had to listen to that podcast over and over and over again. And on top, and I know Adam Conover was like, I'm irritating, but blah blah. But he's he's irritating to be irritating. I think I don't know. Okay, what do we got here? We got some Bruce Springsteen stuff here. So Larry says
button issue.
Album of nothing but Rose imitating Bruce Springsteen would be cool. I could totally pull that off. Definitely, I'd love to do that. My next single will drop. It'll just be all covers of me singing a cappella of Bruce Springsteen. And Joe Christman says that's why they're so horrified, the thought of taxing the hell out of billionaires. Those people earned that.
Yeah, they're special people.
Joe Christman also saying Slipknot was the E Street band of metal, and Weinberg was fired. The Hold Steady and the Gaslight Anthem battle for dad rock E Street band status.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you weren't there today during the grad crit when one of the grads played a song that had his beloved teacher, who he asked for permission. They used 11 labs or something like that, which was a $5 a month fee to be able to AI a voice that you had. So they used this Professor Ben's voice and made a whole hip hop song out of it. They wrote all the lyrics, and the lyrics were all puns and stuff, but it was all like kind of talking like in that professor's voice about his life and stuff like that. And I was just like, I was like, oh my God. And then people were people were like glad that he asked the permission.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I was too, but like I was like,
Well, that's usually when you use those tools, it's like that's part of it, which is that, oh, do you have permission to use this voice,
but
right?
I mean, and it was it was amazing. It really was amazing. They posted it on the company Discord, as it were. But I kind of I was trying to think back to like our U of I experience, like what would have happened if somebody had done that in a crit? Like what would people have said? And there's only 5 minutes to crit, here. So like it's just a check-in and stuff like that. So I wasn't sure, I just kind of said to everybody, you should be thinking about like you should be thinking, yeah, that's really cool. But you should also be going, oh my God. Like you should be kind of scared that this can happen.
I don't know if you should be scared. I mean, to me, it's kind of like the pop art dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Like when that era happened, and it's like, oh, you're using like like when the jump happened from, what's his name?
Before Andy Warhol to Andy Warhol.
When Andy Warhol started using the screen printing, right? He just eliminated the hand painting part. He still kept the imperfection, right? But still using the mechanical reproduction. And then it's like, okay, but then it's like then everybody and his brother's doing that, right? It's no longer sort of cutting edge commentary. It's just a method of generating content, right? So I guess the question would be: is it creative, groundbreaking, or is it just tool using, right? Which is fine.
It's tool using. It's totally fine. And I also said, I was like, and I'm not saying that you have to ask for permission all the time. I think as an administrator, yes, it's very good that you ask for permission, but like in the history of art, good artists also don't ask for permission. Like you don't want to always be asking for permission.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to be a person who's telling you as an art professor that you always have to ask permission for stuff, even though that's kind of my art. Like that's my thing, is to ask permission for stuff. But like I wanted to get that out there, and they were like, okay, that's all. Let's go on to the next person. But but yeah, I wish you had heard that, because it was.
Well, I've heard other.
Yeah, from our
examples
students.
of that. No, not from our students, but.
And from your, it's your colleagues singing,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
no, that's interesting.
Just thinking about that, and like thinking about I don't know, the upcoming election and stuff like that. But just, all right, I'm also like thinking a little bit about, I'm sorry to bring this up, but the Columbia College strike, because it's just on my mind all the time. And just how like freaked out the parents are on the little parents Facebook group there about like, my kid, the professors are saying this and the professors are saying that. And, and I'm kind of like, you're hearing your kids say that the professors are saying these things. Are the professors really, like, what's really actually happening? Because some of it's like really inflammatory. One of the professors didn't even know that they were a scab and stuff like that. And so when I hear our students are just making rap songs with our professors talking, it just worries me. It's
but that's always been a problem. But yeah, the problem is the acceleration. So this is already a problem with social media, right? Is that the misinformation can just travel quickly and infiltrate and kind of poison the hive mind, right? But that's always been the case, but how rapidly that can happen. And so this is, I think it goes back to that word authentic, right? Is what's going to be valued. And I just, every, once in a while when we're talking about AI, it's just like, oh yeah, nobody's going to believe anything. Like I told my mom, like my mom's smart enough to know if she gets a phone call from somebody pretending to be her grandchild, right? That they're her and needs to send money. She knows, oh, I don't believe that. But if my mom gets a phone call from me talking, right? So we've got a 20-year database of our voices, right? So somebody, and please don't do this. Yeah, please don't do this.
We know who you are. We know who.
But I talked to her about it. I'm like, yeah, so, it's just a matter of time before you start getting phone calls from people and you recognize the voice, and then you're gonna have to kind of debug. Is that really Rick, or is it somebody using? Not that, yeah. But it's that idea of spoofing and deepfakes, all that kind of stuff. It's like just any kind of mediated communication is going to be suspect, right? And so again, what that means is that it's going to put more of a shift back to authentic one-on-one face-to-face communication, because then in theory you'll be able to tell, is this when I hand over this $10,000, this isn't a bot of my grandchild, it's my actual grandchild, right? It's like I have to see them in person. Or if I'm going to deposit money in my bank, it's like, oh, I'm going to actually have to go and walk into that bank now. Go back to that again. I want to see the human being. I want to hand some sort of physical thing to them, and I want to see them put that into some kind of evidence of an authentic transaction, right?
Well, okay, we talk about this all the time. Was it That's Incredible show or something where two people just dressed up in a nice, like in a security guard uniform, set up a card table in front of a bank deposit box,
an ATM,
bank deposit,
right.
and just said the deposit box is out of order. Just give us your money and we'll deposit.
A bag, a
they
zipper
just took
bag.
it. People, everybody just gave it to them. So.
But,
that's what I'm talking about. Like not the big like, oh, somebody's impersonating Biden and saying, let's kill all the Jews. No, not that. It's more like somebody's impersonating this professor, and he's saying like it's causing a riot.
Or this university.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you're paying a bunch of money for an online degree, and then you find out that that's not actually, you got a degree from State Illinois University.
Yeah. We even got like a little. Something came up in the Facebook feed, just saying, "Hey, this PayPal address is different than this PayPal address," and it was like a Cyrillic A in the address instead of just a regular A.
Yeah.
So
I guess the question is that, but if you remove, money from the equation, right? If we just create a utopia where we no longer have to, build everything around a financial transaction, then we won't have to worry about this type of thievery anymore.
Well, with AI, I have a lot of my time now is free. All the time that I have spent writing recommendations for students, that time is now freed up. So it's just, and all the time that I spend trying to remember what word it was. What's the word that I want to use? It's a word like when I'm smiling and I'm not frowning and I don't feel sad. What's the word that I'm looking for? The word, it's it's quite possible that the word that you're looking for is the word happy. Here's why. Number one, happy is the opposite. I'm imitating ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, authenticity. I don't know. I felt like more needed to be said about the. Yeah, it's like who's your brother's friends were like imitating somebody online, but they were imitating like some like
Steve Gutenberg.
Yeah, because, yeah. And then the thing was,
But that was, 20, 25
right, I know.
years ago,
Yeah,
right? But, when the internet was new, right? And so you could, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that's...
And I talk about that all the time. And people would be like, wait, is this the real Steve Gutenberg? And your brother's friend would say something like, well, of course it is. Why would anybody impersonate Steve Gutenberg? That's what I'm talking about. Okay. What else did you write down?
I've got this is the time of the year, and I'm a little wary of talking about this, but I think it's a good platform to talk about some of the things that are going on in the business called music. The Spotify Wrapped. And so the thing is that Spotify Wrapped, where everybody shows off that they're listening to Taylor Swift, Spotify also provides this information to podcasters, for instance. So we got a Wrapped for our podcast, and then also our band, right? So Poster Children, we got a Wrapped. So I have data, and so what I found interesting about this is not so much, So I think it was Weird Al Yankovic had some kind of post where he's like, oh, I got 12 million plays. He's going through his Spotify Wrapped, and that's the equivalent of $1. It's like he's kind of doing a running commentary of going through his Spotify Wrapped and kind of, saying that thank you Spotify for also, and then kind of needling Spotify too for the inequity there. But this idea, it is, I think what's interesting about it is that it's analytics, right? So I talk a lot in my classes about analytics, keeping track of how people are navigating your website, for instance, and what they're looking at and what they're doing and where they're from and all that kind of data. And so it's actually, probably the most prominent data visualization or sort of analytics sort of event of the year.
Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know. What is it? I don't even know what it is.
Well, so the thing was we got off of Spotify, a year and a half ago, and then just went back on. Finally went back on to Spotify. Not the podcast. I still had the podcast up on Spotify, but we were no longer Spotify subscribers. But what it is it just gives you a kind of rundown of your top songs, what you listen to, and everything like that. So for me, since I started back up on Spotify in September, I think.
Who's Taylor Swift?
No, it's just all the Beach Boys song that I did the cover of, and then my own songs, right? Because listening to stuff for reference and stuff, and very little else, because it's only been 2 or 3 months. But for the podcast, I did get some interesting data, which is that the top episode was the May 21st episode of this show, was the War on Woke episode.
Oh.
So that was the episode we talked about 1993 show memories. We talked about the Smiths, AI optimism, and CPAP. Those were I didn't listen to the show again, so I don't actually know.
But so that also means that 10 people listened to that.
It's
one.
possible, because people don't listen just through Spotify, so it's just Spotify data. And then the most shared episode was called Techno Stress, and that was March 3rd.
Wow.
And then it was about schedule. I think that was when we were talking about different project to-do lists and stuff, project management stuff.
Yeah.
Zoom Bomb, drag shows, Columbo Face, and New Math. Those were the top, or the notes that I write. And I'm realizing I always feel like it's kind of funny when I just write down the topic kind of things, but they're always coded. But I also realize that that's also probably one of the reasons why we have a very small audience for this podcast. Is because it's like somebody will see what did they talk about? What are the topics of this episode? And it's like all
Spock in Heat. I gotta listen to that.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
laughing. I was crying the other day when I saw that. I was laughing so hard. But yeah, well, you know what I wanted to I wanted to have Columbia Boy on and to talk about the strike.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear about that.
Yeah, and so the top genres the top genres for our listeners are
Indie rock. Okay.
comedy, health and fitness, and music. Those are genres within, I think, podcasting. But then the top music genres are rock, alternative rock, and punk. And then we're the top 10 podcast for 18 people.
Wow.
Top 5 for 15. I think those are inclusive.
Wow.
And then top 1 for 3 people. We're the number 1 podcast for 3 people that
you guys.
listen to us.
I love you guys.
Poster
Thanks
children.
for listening.
5,842 hours of streaming. This past year, 23,691 listeners. So what do you think our top song was on Spotify?
Wide Awake, because Graham listened to it over and over again.
Nope.
Wait. Top song listened to last year on Spotify. This past year.
So this year.
She Walks.
It is She Walks.
Yeah.
Spotify, for some reason, I think on Apple it's always FUCK, but for some reason She Walks is more popular on Spotify. It might be because there's a playlist with it. And then our top countries. People have listened to Poster Children in 111 countries. Yeah, which is pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
But the top countries, it is
United States.
Yes, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and Brazil.
Oh, because
yeah. Fastest growing country. So the most growth in listenership over the past year. This you'll love. I'm assuming went from 0 to maybe 1 or 2.
Okay, where?
Nigeria.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, I was going to say Nigeria.
So we got a grad student or 2, right? They have a band listening to it. Ugh, right? Yeah, exactly. And then most shared track is FUCK. So that's the most shared track.
Makes sense.
This is the weirdest one. Is most streamed day was Saturday, September 23rd, 1 p.m. 61 people listened to Poster Children on Saturday, September 23rd.
Wow.
At 1 p.m.
Wow.
And I have no idea why. It's just I think it's just kind of random. But why one particular Saturday in September that had the most number of people listening?
Do you? Joe says Nigeria was me. I was using a VPN.
Yeah.
No, we know who it
yeah.
was.
And
We have grad students from Nigeria and Ghana.
and they have to use
Somebody probably
a VPN,
went home
right?
and listen to my
I can't remember. I've heard about it. It has to do with because your Spotify account is tied to your country, right? And so yeah, they may be using a VPN.
Actually,
I can't even remember.
Yeah, actually, I have something to tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
what do you think? Like, people always ask me, "Well, how's your band doing? You know, how are you making any money?"
So I had a little
God.
rant today, and it kind of fell on deaf ears, but just talking about like market based what is it called?
Research?
No. Like your paycheck, right? So, sort of determining salaries based on the market value. Right?
Oh.
And so it was like,
was this at the?
Yeah, and I said, well,
Wow.
for a professor of music, if you're going to use the broader market, the market value of a musician, right? That's $0, and so you can always say that if I pay you more than nothing, you're getting paid more than market value for a musician if you're a music professor.
Wow,
right?
who did you say this to?
A large number of people
That's
in
great.
a big group.
Well, I mean,
But
the thing is, you
then
can say that
somebody else
'cause you're-
said, "Well, what about Taylor Swift?" And it's like, oh yeah, the market actually, if you average, right? So all the musicians who are getting nothing, and then you got your Taylor Swift and you got Rolling Stones, and you do an average of what the average income of that market.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I was talking about the market in general, right? The market.
You were
in
talking
general.
about the market in
and
general for the
other people
authentic.
sometimes when they say market, they're talking about the academic market, right? It's like this is what school of music professors get paid in the marketplace, right? But the problem is that the things like heads of medical schools, right? Heads of business schools or people who are in business schools, right? The argument is always made that, well, we have to pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars because we need to. It's the same thing with cybersecurity, right? It's like we need people in here. If the private sector pays that amount, we're not going to get anybody good. We're not going to get a good cybersecurity person unless we pay the same amount that person would get in the private sector.
This is
and so
the
that's
Columbia
to me,
strike too.
That's
Yeah.
market. That's market, right? Determining salaries, right? It's not simply the academic market. It's
Right.
also
No,
this
it's
larger market.
Yeah.
But I think that's the problem is that not everybody sees it that way.
Oh.
It's
Well,
both.
it
Both
would
happen,
be. Yeah.
right? So for us, what we get paid is based on the market value of a university professor in the fine arts, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a business professor, they also take into consideration that value is increased because of the general marketplace, the private sector paying those people. Yeah. Anyways.
Because you're not going to keep. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the whole thing with this. So Columbia College, the non-tenure track faculty are striking there, have been striking for a long time, and the Columbia College has shut them out of their teaching, like their Canvas. So their teaching, their online teaching, stuff. They shut those faculty out, and they hired new faculty to teach. For the last 2 weeks to teach and to evaluate the students. And so the parents are up in arms about this, which they should be. And so a bunch of classes were canceled during the strike. And then now they have brand new. This is the second to last week of school. They hired brand new professors to come in, and I've seen some of the messages from the brand new professors.
They have the full-time,
yeah,
right? Full-time faculty, and then department chairs
are taking over. Is that what's happening
classes.
too?
Yeah.
And then
the rumor is that there's a chair who is taken over 52 classes in one department. That's the rumor that and it's entirely possible. It's like, okay, you're the instructor of record
right.
on all of these classes.
And then it's then so the demands are available. You can look online. You can see what they're demanding, that the president step down, right? Because the president got some huge bonus, and that could have been used to pay the non-tenure track faculty a little bit more. And
it's just, if you're in an economic, if they're arguing that they're in severe economic straits, right? Then how did the president get $250,000 bonus? Because
the market
saying,
value of a
we
president.
Have to change. Yeah, exactly. And that's the argument too. Yeah.
If you want a good president.
Yeah.
But then I've sent you that's what I sent you yesterday. It was like somebody saying that the board, people on the board are also run for-profit online institutions. So maybe they're just they're starving the beast, so they can merge with the online. There's hysteria. That was the word I was looking for, is hysteria. And all the while, I'm looking at this at Columbia College, and going, and there's a couple of offshoots of the Facebook group where somebody will be like, where else can I send my kid to learn this type of stuff? And it's maddening for me, because you could send them to ISU. It's much cheaper, and they're going to get a more, rounded education, just in case they're not going to become a famous music producer or whatever. And so I just want to, and I've done, I've said, before, I made one little, in one of the little Facebook posts where a parent was saying, does anybody have any suggestions for other schools? I was like, okay, my son goes to Columbia, and he loves it. But, I heard that there's these two great programs at ISU, and I'm affiliated with one of them. I wrote that. So, after that, somebody liked my comment and said, I'm from, Bloomington, and I love it there. It's just okay, good. I just wish, I wish I could poach all those poor students and bring them here. But and I know it's a different league, but it drives me crazy. And I understand. My sister explained it to me too. It's different because that when you go to Columbia College, you're only going to be taking the music production classes.
That's not true.
You're not going to have to take geography.
You do. It's liberal arts. It's still liberal arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably...
Our kids taking rhetoric and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's what's different.
That's what's different about that.
It's not...
And Full Sail. It's not Full Sail.
Yeah, no. They still, in theory, are, following a liberal arts sort of curriculum.
And then
education.
somebody else wrote just one caveat: when you're switching to a different school from Columbia, you need to find out which classes will translate. And I said, I've told our advisor that, and she said, if anybody has any questions, they can contact me.
Yeah, well, no,
we would embrace
that's what we do.
with open arms. Yeah,
and they have that. Columbia has that too. It's what can I transfer into here? That's
onboarding and
part and parcel for the business.
Of academia, the business of education. Yeah. So anyway,
higher education.
So what else? What else you got? You have a new song.
I do.
Yeah. Can you talk about it?
Sure. It's it's a new single
called "I Hate Rose." I hate my wife, and I hope she dies. No,
I can't. I'm
sorry. Now you can't even choose the songs that you want because what is she gonna think?
I did think about it. It's how is she gonna twist this one? This one.
I'm seeing a therapist now, so it doesn't matter.
I'm gonna get hit upside the head.
Yeah, no.
Totally
okay, all right. I'm joking now.
About this one.
What is it called?
It's called Same. It's just she's gotta find something. Same old, same old, same old, same old, same.
Okay.
Right? Same old, same old, same.
Yeah. Tell us about the making of it. How long was it in the hopper? How long?
Oh, it's been in the hopper. I think some of it's been in the hopper for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little drum machine and the guitar riff. And then I finished off the lyrics. It was the song I was working on my 4-track. So when I got my 4-track, cassette 4-track restored, and then I bought not even restored, I just got it from my brother and had it running, and then I got the little mixer the original mixer that came with the package, and I was working on that, but then that's not the final version. Is not that. So it's it's like a new wave, no wave song about. It's really just being upset about being stuck. Like so even that, the act of working on a song on a 4-track cassette 4-track, using the guitar I've had for 40 years that I used to record on that 4-track with. That's what the song's about.
It's very meta.
It's super meta and just my usual frustration. And I've written other songs about this, about nostalgia, and then just kind of relying on the past and the music and the sounds of the past and being kind of trapped in that. But the reality is now is that nobody cares. Yeah, we've talked about this. Is nobody cares now about, like, it's all a complete mashup, and people listen to music from the past and the present. There's no new music. There's new music, but there's no kind of new sound, or it's all
you can have
a combining of old sounds into new songs.
You can have Professor Ben's voice on your that'd be new.
Yeah, and and then the other one is a Beach Boys song that the other Beach Boys song that has a theremin. I always say theremin in quotes because, and people would look at me crazy, even like audio, like recording engineers, when I would say, well, it's not really a theremin on like any of those records. And it's not. It's the guy, and it's not a stylophone either. Like they'd use a stylophone live, but it's this guy built basically a controllable theremin, right? That you could play, you could hit. You kind of move. I think you move a metal ball so that you hit pitches accurately. You don't have to be a super. Yeah. So, good vibrations. It's so the one I did this song Wild Honey, which is like I like it because it's a Beach Boys song that's not. It's like they're trying to be soulful and they're trying to be a little different and they're kind of yelling a bit, but it's not quite right. Like it's like when you think of perfect Beach Boys vocals and then you hear this song and you go, okay, they're trying to push the envelope and they're not hitting it. They're not, and I love it because of that. And then I also feel comfortable that, it's a Beach Boys song I could sing because I'm the same way, right? I feel like I'm always missing the target. I'm not. And so it's like, so it's got the theremin thing, so just using a whammy pedal on that. So those are the two songs.
So, and for the past couple of days, you've been watching Star Trek again. So I'm I knew Friday was coming. So you finished this before like last night. You didn't finish it last night.
Oh no, I have to get things done at least 10 days or 2 weeks ahead of time to get them up on the streamers.
Okay. All right. Especially but is today a Bandcamp Friday? It is.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Bandcamp Friday. You can put it up. 1 minute before and post it. It's just streaming services. And so far, I think most of the time now you can submit stuff and it gets put up within a day or two, but I always do at least 10 days. I was doing 2 weeks, but then now I'm 10 days ahead of time. Yeah, so it was definitely done before then.
That's great. Well, congratulations on yet another single up.
Yeah, and so the question is are there going to be any more Bandcamp Fridays? So this is the last one of this year. I mean, when Bandcamp got bought previously, they continued Bandcamp Fridays, right? We'll see what happens with the new owners if in the new year, but they usually don't have a Bandcamp Friday in January. And so we'll see. But now I'm working on Salaryman record. Oh,
wow. Okay. All right.
But that I don't think for the Salaryman record we should do like a
it should be a full
out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend the next 2 months working on that.
I heard part of it, like I recognized the song. I was like, oh my God, that sounds like a Salaryman song. And I was like, oh wait, it is. I do love these new Salaryman songs.
Yeah,
it turned out really nice.
That one song I think is rather level, maybe. So that's good.
Yeah. The one that you were like
working on.
Yeah, I love that song. So
I went and started working on that instead. So there was another song that I had worked on a year or two ago, and I kind of hit a brick wall, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I don't know. I don't know. I somehow have cleared out my. Well, yeah, I think releasing the singles and everything like that. It's like clearing out. I don't know, the pressure. It's a lot of pressure though. The Salaryman record, like trying to edit all those songs together and make a full album. It's a little too much. But for Salaryman, it's okay. I've got it now where it's like, oh, I'm just going to spend, just the same way I was working on singles.
On these singles, yeah, you've got like
I'm
sort
just
of
going to finish off
yeah.
each track, and then instead of releasing them, I'll mix them and polish them, and then have everybody listen to them, and then we can figure out. Yeah,
you have no want at all, no inclination to like we have a whole music production, like we have music production students. Like you don't want to like give them a chance. Like they probably wouldn't want to mix it anyway. But
well, I mean, you can always do remix albums,
yeah.
And you can always do remixes. I mean, that's a great way to, sort of connect with
but
other
it'd be
artists.
interesting to like have them like hear what comes out of it before you make the song, but
well, I don't see what's the difference. I mean, it's like, I think it makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it worked at least for the first, or that one Salaryman song, rather the one good one, right? Me doing
there's
this,
a whole bunch of good
mixing
songs.
it, and editing it.
Yeah, I think they
And
all.
so-
yeah.
So
No, I
think that process is fine,
yeah,
but
as
I
long
think
as you
there's-
like it and it's not gonna, like, it sounds like you've got it under control, where it's not gonna be like a, it's gonna be fun for you, or it's gonna be a process, but it's what you do.
It's what I do.
Yeah, like me making a quilt upstairs.
Exactly. I just need to make a quilt.
It's just a lot of watching Rebels and making a quilt. All right, so what else you got?
What else? Henry Kissinger. We don't need to talk about Henry Kissinger.
You want to say a little obit? Little.
No, not particularly.
Okay. All right, we can move on. He died.
He died. 100 years.
It just says like worst person in the world just died. That's what it said on my Facebook feed. I was like, oh, okay. They're trying not to speak ill of the dead, however.
Yeah. He's problematic. Definitely.
All right, what else you got?
Well, another problematic person. I mean, so I think it was Joe had emailed and said if we make Fire Elon T-shirts, he's first in line to buy one.
Oh, I can make you one.
Yeah, and I said, oh well, the T-shirt manufacturer is the one in charge of that. But yeah.
I'd be happy to do that.
So yeah, I made a little Fire Elon sticker for our Tesla.
Oh, it's wonderful. I love driving the Tesla around
And
with
I made
that.
it even before the most recent atrocity. I shouldn't use that word.
What
but
else happened? What did he do?
the anti. He retweeted. It's for me. I'm already like, we haven't posted on Twitter since the first problem, whatever that was. It's just he has a tendency to reveal. Well, he's pissed off at the Anti-Defamation League, but Hard Fork had a great interview with the guy from the Anti-Defamation League. I think it was Hard Fork, 6 months ago, talking about, the last time, Elon Musk, treaded into anti-Semitic territory, and the Anti-Defamation League guy was like, well, we had just had a meeting where it seemed like everything, like we understood each other, and it wasn't like they were out to destroy Twitter. It was just kind of like, hey, let's try to avoid having white supremacists and anti-Semites, showing up on the platform and taking it over, kind of stuff. And like, hey, you should keep an eye on these people. Is kind of it's like the
That's not
Anti-Defamation
free
League.
speech.
Yeah, exactly. And then it turned around and then Elon Musk did some sort of post. This was 6 months ago. That was just like, these people are gonna fucking destroy us, and it was just like, and so yeah, it just pops up every once in a while, and so yeah, no, he just doesn't deserve to be a leader of our planet, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about a T-shirt, a Fire Elon shirt, is that you're putting the name out there again, like on something that can be fixed. And by fixed, I mean it's there. So
And
you're printing the name.
Yeah. So the thing is that we talked about this with Tesla. Is he was the marketing tool for that company, right? He didn't create the intellectual, sort of property
Right.
of Tesla.
Right.
He's the rainmaker. He's
Yes.
the promotional person. He's basically their advertising campaign.
And
right?
so it doesn't hurt to say little inflammatory stuff on a platform.
So you could say, oh yeah, well, what you want to do is you want to starve, take away the attention from that. And so the thing is that something has, if some sort of brand, right, has so much attention, right, and so much name recognition, I think you can't destroy it by you could destroy it if everybody just decides, oh, we're not going to listen and we're not going to promote and we're not going to retweet what this person says anymore, right? Yeah, that would work, but I think there's too much momentum there. And so what you do is you attach, you start poisoning the branding, right? You attach, negativity to that brand, right? You tarnish the brand, which he is doing a great job himself, but you have to, so I think, ignore him and he'll go away, right? You're feeding the monster, by giving him attention, right? All press is good press,
Yeah,
right?
and that's not what I'm saying about not making
Yeah.
a T-shirt. I'm. This is like when I was screening salaryman shirts, like I love seeing a screen happen. Like I love the fact that you can go, and then there's a screen there. And I was so like, we were out of shirts, and then I was like, oh my God, I got to screen this on something else. So I ran upstairs and I grabbed like a couple of other shirts, like just flannel shirts. And I was like, and then I screened, I wonder what it's going to look like on this flannel shirt. And so I have a salaryman flannel shirt, and it's beautiful, but I don't want to wear this flannel shirt anymore. So I can't just get rid of this flannel shirt because it's now a salaryman shirt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like I have a screen for a kind of a famous Capoeira Angola center too. And like I actually did screen one, test screen before I started screening the shirt. And so there's this piece of fabric. It's like there's this piece of fabric with this, design on it that I can't get rid of, because it's hard to get rid of it, So I've got two. I got rid of one of the salaryman shirts because I gave it to Jeff over in Champaign.
It's kind of the Candyman effect. If you just say the name a certain number of times, you sort of invoke the beast.
Yeah, or so this. Yeah. So like, I guess, I don't know. But the piece of paper is good. The bumper sticker I think is okay because I'm not. You're not wearing it on your chest.
Okay.
Like you don't want to be wearing that person's name on your body, right?
I guess. I don't know.
I don't. But yeah. If somebody wants a shirt, contact me.
Don't get a Fire Elon tattoo.
Right. Yeah. But if you want a
That's
shirt,
why T-shirts are great.
If you pay me for a shirt, it'll be like $10 or something, and I'll use it for electricity to put into the Tesla to drive to buy the shirt. I'd be happy.
Oh yeah, that's
that.
what Joe said. Is like we could fund the purchase of a Rivian. Like make up the difference.
With like buying or selling selling a bunch of Fire Elon shirts.
But of course, Rivian says they want to have a one-on-one relationship with their employees and would rather not have to work with them through a union. So I loved. I was just like, we want to have a one-to-one relationship with our employees. So it's like,
I've heard
David and Goliath.
Plenty of our faculty members or our administration at our institution saying things like, I think the faculty union is stupid because we already have self-governance. So that, I've heard it both ways.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure where you're going with that, but yeah.
No, I've heard people say that. Like I'm in my classes, I told you talk. I want to hear what you have to say.
Union, yeah, no, those are some of the talking points against a union.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all right. So, anything else that you have?
We've done an hour.
Okay. All right. What are you looking forward to this next week?
This next week?
Sure.
Gee, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to.
I don't.
Supposed to be looking that far out, huh?
No. Yeah.
I mean, that was what I'm working on. Is not spending.
You're living in the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
I'm not trying to live in the moment. I'm just trying to live less in the future.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. Good. Then you do that.
You do that.
Anything? No media that you're looking forward to. No, you're not going to go see the Marvels or.
Oh yeah, I want to see the professor who terrorizes people in their dreams movie with Nicolas Cage. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Oh, that's terrifying. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. All right. Well, thanks.
All right. Have a good night, everyone, or whatever time you're listening to us. If it's
Have a good morning. Bom dia, bom tarde, boa noite.